Hello, Lottie. I want to talk to you about eczema. We're seeing more and more children come through the door with eczema. Explain to our listeners why so many children are presenting with eczema and what are the underlying imbalances that might drive the condition. We know that when you go visit a doctor, the individual is prescribed moisturizing creams, steroid creams that go up in strengths, but none of that is really dealing with the underneath causes. So that's where functional medicine comes in. So tell our listeners what they need to know.
So if we think quite globally, and we'll have a quick sentence on eczema is inflammation of the skin. Why do we have more inflammation in our systems these days, particularly for our kids? Inflammation is normally that immune system going, I can't cope with something, so I'm going to mount an attack. What can't it cope with? Virus, bacteria, toxins, food, allergies are then creating part of an eczema response. So our children are surrounded by more toxins, more pesticides on our foods, got the potential to have a leaky gut. That's then driving an immune system reaction, and it's coming out via our skin. So that's what we're seeing more and more in a presentation of kiddos, but also adults, because obviously either you're a child who's growing into an adult, and if we don't get it sorted, that will still affect you in your adulthood, or you can even get adults who are like, I've never had this problem before and I'm suddenly having it. And again, your immune system possibly has been altered by having to fight off that virus, that bacteria, the stress response that we know has a massive impact on our immune system.
Definitely, definitely. So, what can people do at a very simple level, whether it's through food, whether it's through topical application, or what supplements might you consider? Obviously, every individual is different at a supplement level, but what can you start off with?
So what we're trying to think of, why do you have this presentation? Why your symptoms are here? Our skin is one of our largest organs. It's a barrier. That barrier is made up of oils. And again, with eczema, they break down, the cells between them break down. So then you end up getting irritations that come in through that. So again, we're thinking lots of good oils. We need them to provide that oily surface to support the cells knit back together again, to make sure that then we don't get any foreign invaders coming through, which can create that infection and irritation. So omegas, omega-3, omega-6. So we're looking at nuts and seeds and oils, fish, anything you can get in, chia seeds, flax seeds, and again, avocados. And even if your child's going, oh, I don't really like the taste of those, blend them up, put them into smoothies, put them into ice lollies, put them on porridge, blend it up, and they might not know that they're going in there. Olive oils drizzle onto already cooked foods. And again, hopefully your child will be slightly unaware if it's inside a sweet potato mash, for example. So we're thinking essential oils, absolutely imperative. And then we're also looking at trying to look after our gut microbiome, because again, that gut bacteria has a massive link to play when it comes to the immune system and how reared up our immune system is towards that bacteria, that virus. But also our good gut bacteria, again, is trying to calm the inflammation. So if those are the jobs of the good bacteria, it stands to reason, and the research does suggest that those with eczema are more likely to have a altered microbiome, or they don't have enough of the good bacteria. And equally, sometimes when we do a stool test, we'll see repetitively over and over again, there are certain pathogenic or potentially pathogenic bacteria that come up, or even just not part of the happy clan of good bacteria that are in there, that are linked to inflammation and eczema. So again, foods that can support your good microbiome, we're looking at kefir. It's got good probiotics in there. We're looking at sauerkrauts, and again, probiotic-rich food, and just trying to support diversity of the fruits, vegetables, herbs, salads that we eat, because again, all of your good bacteria needs to nibble on all of that fiber products to support the bacteria.
Now, I know our listeners might be sitting there saying, my child has a nut allergy as part of that inflammatory process, or my child goes to a school like most children nowadays where nuts are forbidden, or my child is really fussy. So I've got to ask this question because I know that's what our listeners are. What do we do in those circumstances, Lottie?
So if you've got a nut intolerance, allergy, obviously that's out the window. What I would say is then you focus on the foods that you can eat.
Yeah.
So again, lots of listeners will be like, but they won't eat fish. But again, can we make them into something like a little fish patty, and you then fry them off, and it's got loads of different flavors in there that you can almost disguise the fish in? Or can you flake up bits of already cooked salmon and put them into an egg muffin, so that again, you weren't aware that they were in there? So nuts, fair enough if they're out the window. For school, Obviously, can you make any after school snacks where we've made a flapjack? And again, into it goes oats, into it goes banana, into it goes coconut oil. And then again, you can either blend them up. So seeds, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, flax seeds, chia seeds. If you have an intolerance and an allergy, obviously you need to check. You need to check before you're going to feed your child that. But if your child is not allergic to them, but it's more of a school environment, then get them in after school and make them yummy. Make them into, fair enough, drizzle some dark chocolate over the top of it. Use cacao into it so that it tastes chocolatey. So it's just trying to explore different ways of getting those in to your children, but on the hidden side, so that we can go, actually, a smoothie, most of the time you can make quite a yummy smoothie that they didn't know there was a walnut in there because it's been blended up. But a child won't eat a walnut if you just offer it to them.
Brilliant. Now, how do we take this deeper? Because we might have listeners that, I mean, there is nothing more powerful than a mother on a mission, is there? So we might have people going, I've already done that through food. I've tried my hardest. My child is still ripping their skin off. Where would you go now from a testing point of view? Like, where can you look to help these more complicated cases and find out what's going on?
So there's lots of different tests that I would suggest put on the plate. And often if someone comes for an initial consult and I go through their whole history and actually we bring up certain things that I go, that's interesting. Mold is in the house, for example. I want to understand if your body's reacting to that and it's creating that immune system reaction. Toxins, again, there is research around there saying those with eczema struggle to detoxify as well as someone else might. So have you got a buildup of toxins in there, which again is trying to come out through the skin? Have you got a gut microbiome that is not as balanced as it should be? Do a gut test. Have you got something else, nutrient deficiencies, even down to sort of zinc for immune system, for example? And again, a wee test, a metabolomics. Those are the sorts of things that I would be pointing towards going, whatever your individual story is, there will be some form of trigger in you. If is it food, is it toxins, is it virus, is it bacteria, is it mold, is it leaky gut, is it the microbiome imbalance, and is it the skin imbalance as well? Let's test what we can test. Let's understand a bit more, make it individual to you. And then you're not just guessing and putting in, hey, let's just try some omegas.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. That's what our listeners needed to hear. There are things that you can do immediately. I know that that might take time even to modify a child's diet and to expose them to diversity. But we've got to start somewhere with trying to grate more vegetables in, or offer children vegetables, or go down the hidden route of adding them into bolognese sauces, or what.
And listen, I get it. I've got a toddler and she went through that fussy phase of I won't eat anything vegetable like. And it's a panic, and I can understand that. And again, it's like, let's work together and work through that, because now she'll eat a bolognese and it's got 55 vegetables in it. And these are the sorts of things where, as a mum, I can help you. Phases change, but they only change with that support moving forward.
Yeah. So whether that's your starting point, or whether your starting point is get Lottie to look into more depth, there is hope out there. Children or adults with eczema do not need to remain in an inflammatory state for the rest of eternity. And sadly, we know that steroid creams only locally, if you're lucky, reduce that inflammation. They don't systemically. So please reach out to Lottie for all of this extra information, because if you're on that eczema journey, she'll be there to hold your hand. Thank you so much, Lottie. You gave away so much to our listeners. And please, listeners, do share this, because if you don't have a child with eczema, you know somebody who does. Thanks again, Lottie. Bye-bye.